Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so Bronny is declaring for the NBA draft and declaring for the transfer portal at the same time. That way, for some reason things do not work out, he will be able to transfer to a school. But I don't see any reason why anything wouldn't work out with him going to the league. Now, you got two different types of things that I'm hearing about, which are kind of basic if you've been following the story. They're conflicting points of views, and I'm hearing from Skip Bayless in panel, Paul Pierce, and Keyshawn. They essentially think that it's not going to be a problem for him to get to the Lakers. And it took a TV saying the literal complete opposite, that it's going to be an arms race for LeBron James' son, and that it's, the Lakers can make a bid for it, but they in there with everybody else. And we don't have the best opportunities at first-round picks this year, obviously, although we could trade for one somehow. I didn't hear him mention how the Lakers would go about getting a first round pick, but my guess would be trading other first round picks for sooner first round picks. It's the only thing we can really do. Maybe Max Christie, something like that. But now that we're getting closer to this process, I kind of lean toward the Skip Bayless panel point of view. Because at the end of the day, Clutch has so much sway in the league right now to where if you intercept getting in the way of their prize prince's draft process, it could potentially leave you blackballed. And no franchise wants that in this league. Too many different prominent players that are touched to Clutch right now for you to want to be an NBA team, try to get LeBron James in the last 2 years of his career or whatever, in the place of what it is that they have planned for him and his son, and then you find yourself in a situation after that to where you can't get no Clutch clients, which are going to be half the all-stars in the dang league. You don't want that. And then when it's time for you to make trades with other smaller Clutch clients, suddenly you have trouble making trades. Suddenly GMs don't want to do deals with you. Suddenly you having problems. It's just, it would probably benefit the league a lot to stand down and not get greedy as it pertains to getting Bronny James, only to try to get LeBron James on the team. That feels greedy to me. And although I've leaned toward thinking teams are going to do that anyway, I think Clutch has enough power to assure that the Prince doesn't find himself going to some squad, forcing LeBron James's hand and all billions of the dollars that he brings to each and every team he's on and every other city he's on. That's a lot to sway. Not to mention that you're backing LeBron into a bad situation to where it makes it look like you're manipulating the draft of other players in this draft, their stock price, so that his son can go there. And that is the circumstance, but it's also something that other teams can control in the sense that they won't, if they stand down, they don't force him into that position, and that probably is a position that Clutch would prefer him never have to be a part of in order for this to happen. Not to mention that the team that they're trying to get him to is the Lakers, for which probably politically wouldn't be in your best interest to cross them either. So for a lot of teams, I think when you couple that with the fact that Bronny is not a highly touted prospect, now if he were the first or second pick of the draft projected to be, that's a whole other story. But the fact that he's likely projected to go undrafted, it would be best for teams to not do that. Even though on its surface it looks like you can gain a lot from having LeBron James on the team. Not if it's going to cost you a relationship with the company that he's attached to for years and years and years to come. So now that we're here, that's what feels like what seems wise to me if I'm an NBA owner. If the benefits of bringing in LeBron James aren't going to actually be realized as the benefits of bringing in LeBron James because of how I acquire him and how adverse he and his team would be to that acquisition, then what's the point of me going after LeBron James? Only to piss him off and put him in a position to not want to be a part of whatever the circumstance would otherwise be. So that's what I have to say about that. I just think that it's going to be a political stand down. That's what I think. Most teams are going to stand down. They're not going to want to deal with that process. I don't think they'll think Bronny James will be a worth it enough prospect to waste a first round pick on, or in a lot of cases even a second round pick. And I wonder if that matters to young Bronny. You know, when you declare for the draft, is there a world where strategically you prefer not to be drafted? And what, you know, it becomes a situation where you almost have to wonder what the kid truly wants. And if he knows how best to get where he wants to play. And that's the question. If it's just about being drafted, you don't want to be embarrassed. You know, as Paul Pierce said, it could be embarrassing for you to apply for the draft and not get drafted. But once that happens, once you get drafted by the team you don't want to be on, you're stuck there, fam. Or they waive you, you end up somewhere else, they could trade you. I mean, being drafted does not hold the same weight for everybody. Because some guys, if they're not in a lottery, it's probably in their best interest to try to position themselves to go to certain teams or away from certain markets. You know what I mean? So in the unique case of Bronny James, him being drafted means that 9 out of 10 times in this situation, he's going to be messing with other players' potential draft prices, which is going to make it seem as if he's already in the game with nepotism, which everybody going to say about him anyway. It would probably be in his best interest to go the undrafted Austin Reeves route for the path that he wants to go, for the expectations upon him, and when he gets to certain teams, they didn't waste no draft pick on you. So they ain't going to expect you to be a role player right away if for some reason you ain't ready. I just think that the better path for Bronny is going undrafted. Now the question is, did they posture him into the draft to be drafted on some ego stuff? Because my son will be drafted. I will, you know, that kind of thing. Which doesn't feel like it has to go south, because someone could use a second round pick or a first rounder on him, and it may very well work out just fine. But the more I learn about building teams, and then we've talked about these type of things for years and years and years, asset class and value of picks is not something to be emotional about. If I'm going to waste a second round pick, it doesn't matter if the player's worth it or not, as it pertains to now that pick is out of my asset class. I can't use it to trade with for other stuff. The more picks and the more high-level good value contracts I have, the richer my team is to make moves around me. Bronny James, if he's going to learn the business as well as it is to learn, will realize that he shouldn't want no team he's going to be a part of to waste any assets whatsoever. Now, most players, I think 99.9% of players don't think like this, don't know nothing about this. It's not on their radar to think this way. But the ones who do will likely be a part of more successful teams, because you understand what it takes to get you the teammates you want to play with, and you know what it looks like when your team can make moves versus when it is that you can make unwanted demands that ain't going to lead to nothing. I tell you the truth. If Bronny James wants to go on the best path, he will not want the franchise he's headed to make any draft picks wasted. Not on him or anybody else. Because that draft pick that they waste on you could be on another teammate with high upside that can help you in the future. Or could be a part of a trade package that can land you a player that'll help you win a championship. So if I'm him, and I'm thinking like that, which he's probably not, most people aren't, I don't even want to be drafted, because they could use that pick on somebody else and make us even richer. I come in undrafted, that second round pick holds some more value that's attached to something else other than me. You feel me? Like, that's how you really play the game. For those who want to be a part of an organization specifically, if you care about being a part of the team that you own and you want to see them win a championship in the near future, you don't want them wasting or misvaluing no picks, not second rounders, not first rounders, cash considerations, nothing. Anything that could be traded needs to be captured the most value for. Anything. And the more of that stuff you have at the right price, the richer your team is when it's time to make negotiations for trade. So that's what I'm talking about. If I'm Bronny James, I want to go to a team, play with my daddy, win a championship the first year. They don't need to be wasting no second round picks on me. Use that second round pick on something else. Trade it for something that's even more valuable. I will come in undrafted and we'll rock that way. That is the ultimate smart way to play. Because everything trickles down to what you see on the basketball floor next to you. That's what these players and these owners and coaches, all of it, they need to understand this. If I'm using my picks the wrong way, it means that we have lesser talent on the floor next to me. Simply put. And you never know what a second round pick could be. Mess around, waste the second round pick on me when you could have taken Draymond Green and had me. You understand what I'm saying? You could have took Eddie Jones and had me. Or was it Nick Van Exel in the second round? I never remember which one of them was. One of them became in the second round pick. I think it was Nick Van Exel, actually. Not Eddie. Eddie came in the first round, like 27 or something. Point is, great players have been found in the second round. That could be Manu Ginobili. While you taking Bronny James, you might pass up on the next Manu just simply because you want to take Bronny with that second pick. Hell no, you don't need to do that. Let him go undrafted. Pick him up like Austin Reeves and utilize that pick on another asset. That's how you really, really, really play the game. That's how you build yourself to being a lot better than everybody else. By never overlooking little stuff like that. Ever. The teams that don't are the ones that have the most. Teams that do are the ones that don't have anything at all most of the time. And so that's what I'm really saying to you guys. I think, you know, if he wants to be smart about his career, he wants the very little pressure, as little pressure as possible, because he already got the name attached to him. So it's easy for him to come in with everybody saying, yo, we expect you to be this, 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 and this. But it's going to be worse if somebody used a first round pick on him. It's going to be worse if somebody used a high second round pick on him. Rather than him come in on some Austin Reeves, spend the first month and a half in the G League, and then come in for the big team halfway through the season and work your way up that way. Work your way up that way. And I'm telling you, that's a better path. A little pressure. And you just be yourself. You know, somebody don't have to be scoring 15, 20 points a game to be competitive, but somebody who can get 6 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, a block, and a couple highlights because of your athleticism. Because, you know, bro, that's who he is. He's a Swiss Army knife, a short Swiss Army knife. He can make plays, a connective piece, you know, for other people. But if you're asking him to be a scorer or y'all waiting for him to turn into, you know, De'Aaron Fox or some stupid crap, he's going to fail. That's not his game. That's not his talent. He's not that. He's a role player, a very good one, with extreme athleticism. Extreme athleticism. Probably one of the most athletic 6'2" players the game will ever see. Truly. He's athletic as all hell, man. Just like his pops, bro. His pops crazy. And so for me, it's like, yeah, that's an NBA player. He's got an NBA basketball body, too. He's going to come in strong, and he might put some height on. He might actually get to 6'4", you know? He takes from his mom in that way, but he still got a lot of his pops in him. So for me, it's like, we just got to be patient with him. I don't think he's a point guard necessarily, but I don't think he's devoid of the ability to play the position. But you got to, you know, be patient with him. And because of his name, and because his draft process could potentially be highly manipulated, he ain't gonna set him up to fail. And then be disappointed that he don't live up to the expectations that are meant for him to fail. I don't see that being even necessary. That don't ever have to happen. None of that has to happen. He's not being misevaluated here in any way. You know what I'm saying? None of that has to even go down that way. I'm not going to be disappointed if he doesn't turn into De'Aaron Fox or something stupid like that. It's not going to be even on my radar for him to be like that. He don't have to be like that. Literally. And so y'all know I'm a fan of Bronny James. I don't think he's had a chance to show what he could do. Obviously, the hard situation got in the way. And in that bad USA team and the expectations upon him being a certain type of player for which he's not also got in the way. You don't have to be that. You know what I mean? You don't have to be any of that. And still be a very good NBA player on a very good NBA team. Especially if his father is going to help navigate his path in the NBA. I think he'll be a better than good pro when it's all said and done. So long as people don't screw with him in ways of trying to get him into the league and getting him off to the wrong start. So, and I think most people feel that way about him. I think he's got an upper hand in a sense that we're in an era where we're waiting for people to set high, lofty expectations, and then, you know what I mean? We're looking for that rather than to be all sheepish about it and say, yo, this kid's coming in to be the greatest thing of all time because his dad is. No, we have the mindset that his dad is who he is and that this kid's in an unfair position, and therefore, I think that's a much better place from which to be when you consider the era we're in and what it is that we expect this to happen with him. It's like we expect him to average 5 points a game. You know, it's not, nobody's expecting him to be a 40-point scorer except for people who ultimately want him to fail. Like literally. That's it. Other than that, everybody who's paying attention with an open mind or rooting for him, man, they don't expect him to be nothing great. But they know he could be good. They know he could be a hell of a piece on a basketball team. Yeah. And it's just going to take some time like everybody else. It'll take about 6 years to develop. Which is going to sound crazy to a lot of people. But it's nothing, that's not abnormal at all, man. 4 to 6 years is what I tell you. Depending on injuries, 4 to 6 years. For everybody. Everybody. Giannis took 8-9 years to develop, y'all. When I look at Giannis Antetokounmpo, he wasn't no fast burner. That dude took forever to develop. Forever. You know what I mean? Guy like DeMar DeRozan was not an overnight development project. It took like 7 years for him to become who he became. So, I just want people to chill out. Bronny's going to be all right. His athleticism is going to carry him. His genetics, I believe, will carry him. And he's a smart basketball player who has defensive gifts, defensive abilities. His jump shot is nice. It's not like he's a bad jump shooter, even though he didn't shoot very well in college. If you put him in a role that allows him to be 7th man, 8th man, 9th man on the team, he's not going to be taking on the same type of defense that a lot of what he was that he likely was taking on in college. So it should be easier for him to maneuver, you know? And so that's my take on him. You slot him properly, and he's going to help. And you put him next to his dad, and he's going to really be able to develop properly. I believe he'll develop properly. So long as his dad doesn't have these lofty expectations for him becoming a scorer. Shoot the ball, shoot the ball, shoot the ball. And maybe you don't want to put that type of pressure on him. Maybe he's not a scorer after all, you know what I mean? But he can put some ball in the hoop, but it's not something that you need him to do at a all-star clip every night for him to be a nice player in this league. Maybe not. It's all different types of pieces out there. You just got to find out what type of piece he is and not try to force him into being what he's not just because of his name or because, you know, or whatever expectations people have on him. So that's what my point of view is. I think he could be a really good player. You know, he could have a nice long career. You know what I'm saying? He really can. But people have to not heap expectations on him and not get him off to a terrible start by manipulating his path into the league in really ridiculous and exaggerated ways. They need to not do that. So, yeah, that's my point of view on him. Excited about young Bronny. Hopefully he's able to make it to the Lakers. I want him on my team. Just get that out the way early. For those who are wondering if I want him on the squad, yes, I do. Athletic point guard like that. Plays defense. Smart. good height, not hygiene, good genes, good head on his shoulders. I think that is exactly the type of piece I would love for us to keep going forward with, especially since we're gonna be rebuilding soon. I like the political aspect of it as well. Having him in our back pocket means that we have a line drive on Clutch's favor, which I think we probably have anyway because of the Lakers. So a lot of people don't want to be here any damn way, but they're going to always make sure we straight because we got Bronny on the squad and we drafted him, so they'll love us for that. So it's a lot of things that you like about that. And hopefully, with that being the case, he'll get off to a good start here. He'll be home, you know what I mean? Even though his folks, they all from Ohio, he spent a lot of his childhood here. So he don't have to necessarily leave, you know what I mean? You don't have to go nowhere. And I just think that the collegiate space for him is going to get tricky even more so going forward because the drafts aren't going to be as weak as this one is expected to be. And that's really what I say there. This is the draft to come in. This is the class to come in because next year is the Cooper Flag draft. After that, you got even more higher level talents coming in. This is the draft to come in and kind of nestle yourself as a role player, just like the rest of the whole class is a role player, to be honest with you. The whole damn class is a role player. So that's why I like this year for him to come out. Even though he may not be necessarily ready, the G League will get him ready. You know, that literally. And LeBron's going to have to let him go down there, man. Let him go down there, bro. If it proves to be necessary. Now, if it proves not to be necessary, then you don't send him down there just because. But it will likely prove to be necessary, just like every young player. They're going to need to go through the G League to kind of get themselves used to what it is they need to do. And so for me, I hope that LeBron James is not adverse to him going to the G League to get his reps up for as much as necessary this upcoming season. Whether he's on your team or not, you know? And, you know, I think there's going to be a couple teams that you got to look out for that could try to intercept. There's some teams that people are talking about, like Philadelphia, which makes sense to me. Daryl Morey's crazy enough to do something like that. The Toronto Raptors with Masai Ujiri, look out for them doing something like that. They're in their rebuild, so they ain't got nothing to lose. And had a lot of success with Kawhi Leonard as a rental, to say the least. Team like Portland's interesting to me just because you don't see them coming. And I know they got a lot of picks there in the middle of the beginning of their rebuild. They got a guy like Scoot Henderson. Even though that's a small guard, teaming him up with Bronny James kind of seems redundant to me. But I could totally see them, fans of small guards, taking on another small guard like him. I could totally see them doing something like that. Utah with Danny Ainge. He hates the Lakers. He's a Celtic to heart. He would do something like that. Those are the teams that come to mind, man. But Philadelphia is the number one team. Obviously, New York. Yeah, New York. That goes without saying. I don't look at them as a dark horse, though. I think they're going to be in the sweepstakes. But, you know, at the end of the day, as I said, if you don't want to get on the wrong side with Clutch, it probably would be in your best interest to just leave Bronny where he's at and let him go where his dad wants him and his Clutch family want him to go, and see don't it open doors for you, or rather not close doors for you. I really believe that, because I think whoever does that, especially if they're a team Bron would never want to go to, the freaking Utah Jazz or any other team. Look out for Miami, by the way. They may want to do something like that. But like, if you're one of these teams, they're gonna have such a hard time getting things done in the league. When a Clutch client is involved, every time they're going to look up, it's going to be hard for them to make a trade for him. It's going to be hard for them to sign the player. It's probably in their best interest to stand down. And stand down. A team like the Minnesota Timberwolves, they may want to do something like that because they're trying to sell the team. From what I understand, A-Rod never had the money or something. I don't know what the hell's going on with that, but nevertheless, when you look up at the team, you see the team as a squad that can benefit a great deal from maybe having LeBron James add his revenue. Plus, they're a winning squad right now. It's exciting to think about LeBron James and Anthony Edwards, that kind of thing. But in my mind, it'd probably be best for a team like Minnesota, who's had some of the issues they had over the years, to not have bad political standing going forward. This is a team that went through the Joe Smith process. It's a team that's had a lot of downtime, a lot of things that didn't work out for them, and finally where they want to be. It's not the time to do something that's going to risk that at all, especially when they don't have picks, for which they do not. So, yeah, I would stand down if I were them. And so, yeah, man, so I want to tell all of you guys, man, the Bronny sweepstakes, look out for the Clippers. Even though they don't have first-round picks either, they could probably try to weasel their way in there. But I don't think they have the money to bring in LeBron without disrupting something that they probably don't want to disrupt. So my bet would be they probably leave him alone too. Yeah, the Clippers don't seem like the move to me. Even though you would think they would try to do something like that to undermine the Lakers, they got so many maximum contracts and players that they're really trying to hold on to. Moving LeBron James means they would have to remove another one of those dudes. And I just don't know that they would be willing to do that. Unless they know one of them's already out the door anyway, like Paul George maybe going to Philly or something like that. Which I'm already hearing rumors about, but I don't see him leaving home to go nowhere. I don't. Only place I really think Paul George would leave the Clipper land to go to is probably the Lakers. Other than that, he'd probably stand right there. So this is me brainstorming. I don't know what's next for these guys, but that's pretty much what I got. My name is BDO44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.